Yeah, I wanted to, shed some light into my experience, coming into the firearms community and the firearms industry, not knowing a single soul after winning Top Shot. And, I came into the firearms industry expecting almost basically to go to battle. I think I had a lot of these pre-existing negative stereotypes about gun owners, that they were going to be racist, that they were going to be homophobic, that if I wanted to have any sort of career in the firearms industry, or if I wanted to be accepted by the firearms community, that I was thinking, oh, I'm only going to find some like small pockets, here and there, who were going to be okay with a minority gun owner. And I'm at the same time happy and ashamed to say that my own negative stereotypes were just busted. Right? That my whole experience in the firearms community has just been so predominantly positive. And for a lot of gun owners, it often does not have to do with your race or your ethnicity or your gender or your sexual orientation or your religious background or any of that. It really comes down to, do you support the Second Amendment? Do you support our country? And if I can create that bond with gun owners, which sort of inherently, as a gun owner, you probably support the Second Amendment, that is the foundation that I've been able to build off of and foment a ton of both professional and personal friendships and relationships in the gun community. And I think the story for Asian Americans is that we have to tell our own story. Like not our stories like Asian Americans, right? It's just telling our own individual story and exploring, well, who am I? What do I want to do and accomplish? What do I want to say to the world? And I think where that becomes a big challenge for Asian Americans, and I mean, I'll speak personally to this, is I think so many Asian cultures are based on doing, not saying, right? That talk is cheap. And if you want to actually make an impact in the world, just go do good work. Don't bother talking about it as much. And I think too many Asians and Asian Americans, we have an immature voice, and we have a long way to go, right, to encourage each other to speak up, right? It's not enough to stay silent on the sidelines, even if you agree with if you support our Second Amendment rights, for example. It is not sufficient to be quiet, right? Silence is basically compliance with gun control, right? If we don't speak up and defend our Second Amendment rights, we are by de facto going to allow gun control advocates to continue passing gun control laws that we know don't do anything to reduce crime. They don't keep us any safer, and we're giving up our freedoms and liberty in exchange for this false promise that we're somehow going to be safer. And the thought of that, I mean, that infuriates me. And so that's where I get my voice, right? When I hear about a government that wants to repress the people, wants to take away our voice, wants to take away our self-defense. And right, if you think about our countries of origin, right? I'm half Chinese and half Japanese. And these countries don't allow personal firearms ownership. And to come from that repressive, anti-gun culture, right, to come to America, right, this is a freedom that all of us can enjoy and exercise the right if we so choose. So, yeah, I mean, the point is we need to speak up, because just simply putting our heads down and doing good work is just not enough if we want to make a material difference in American culture and Asian American culture as well.
And even on a smaller level, right, it just starts at home too. It's just having that honest conversation with your family. And I think the beautiful part is that you end up finding family. One of the another person who should have been a panelist here, and he's also an LGC member. And one of the conversations we had where we realized, wow, we're kind of kindred spirits and we're in this, is that he said, I feel like I finally found my tribe. I found the group that I want to hang out with, right? And it had nothing to do with being Asian, but I guess that's how ostracized we become with our family or our friends, that, as soon as we do speak about it, they're like, oh no, and you unfollow or something to that effect. But at the same time, we end up surrounding ourselves and being surrounded by like-minded people who aren't just crazy about, oh, let's go and we call it mag dumping, right? Let's go and just throw out all the rounds. No, it's like, no, right now with the primer shortage, every shot counts, right? We value, we respect the time. We find that it's therapeutic. It's just such an empowering sport, hobby, passion, profession. Yeah. And if we can change the conversation so that it's not this dangerous object that, is only used in a negative stereotype, if we actually bring it to life that, hey, it's just like any other tool, right? And it can be beautiful or it can be destructive. It's how you decide to use it, and it's how you decide to shape the conversation amongst your friends. So the sooner we can feel comfortable about just being who we are, regardless of age, regardless of where we are in our journey, there will always be somebody out there to support us and, be welcoming towards us. And obviously LGC has done a phenomenal job of doing just that.
Wow. Yeah, it's so interesting. I'm Japanese American and a recent immigrant. And part of my journey for the last 20 years is trying to understand what it means to be Japanese American. And part of that has been going to all the internment camps. And some of them, they're in such desolate areas. I mean, Manzanar is accessible, but all the others are in such desolate areas. And I've rented a 4x4 to go out to some of them and to feel them, this real kindred, and to get back to what Chris is saying. How do we understand our relationship to this country that we belong to? It's and that we have a right to claim as ours as well. So I really appreciate everything, all the conversations we had. I think, my experience has been so positive because of people like Trish and Erickson at the Richmond Rod Club, where we've carved out a space. We may not have overthrown the board yet, but we belong there.
We have a board member potentially nearby listening, so let's let's just say, we want to do what is the most welcoming, most inclusive actions. We understand that the fight is far from over, but what this does, what the 2A community will do, is open up a gate for a good conversation, right? Exactly. And that's what we're kind of missing in the political realm right now. Exactly. It's so polarized where, the conservatives this and liberals that, when in reality, if you think about it, we can be moderate. We can find a middle ground. And if that's my goal for the rest of my life, and, the 2A community is to be part of that. Hey, I understand we don't agree on everything, but we can agree on at least this one thing. And let's try to find a compromise elsewhere. Then at least I can leave, go to sleep and know that I'm doing something right at night. So it's little changes. It's completely, acclimating to, this new sense of self in the community. So it's little by little, but I'm sure if there are any other RRGC members or Richmond, California members, just we're doing good things. We're trying to do positive things. We are not overthrowing anything over there. So just want to put that out. But they're very happy to have us, and I'm sure that as much as we invest, we will receive in dividends and set up a good foundation for the future. Yeah,
no, there's no defenestration, at least not for the next week or two.
I don't want to interrupt you guys, but we're at 60 minutes, so I'm not sure if you want to start wrapping it up or continue on.
I think my wrap up would be, I think we have had really fantastic leadership at political levels with, Chris and Amy representing us in the industry. And I think it's up to us also, for more of us to to find our voices. My journey isn't quite complete, as I mentioned. I'm in the closet, but more and more of us are finding our voices.